Hey, so we're back for another
Hey,
episode of Think Text Chat. I'm Troy.
I am Tasia, and we're excited to be back again. We're excited to dive into this topic too, and it's on brand. So, here at Pink Tax Chat, we talk about finances, relationships, and everything from A to Z. So, we're excited. You want to go ahead and introduce the topic, Tori?
I want to talk about girl, uh,
Ooh.
soft girl life. And
Ooh.
for everyone, I think it means something a little different
Mm,
for each person, what that word soft applies to us. So for me, and you all know I be on TikTok school, so I love when I see the couples talk about hypotheticals of if this were to happen, what would you do? So we'll continue that in later in this conversation. But for me, the soft girl life is feeling secure, protected, someone that has my back,
yeah.
support not only emotionally, financially, just care and being there. What does soft girl mean to you or feel like to you?
Really a lot of the same, to be honest with you. I think everything you mentioned was really important to me too. Heavy on like protected, heavy on care. I think that's sometimes missing in our generation and just like life in general. Honestly, I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
if it's because people are just so busy or they're just so self-consumed, like focused on themselves that sometimes people just miss the opportunity to care about other people. So definitely want to emphasize the care one. Um, I think for me is being able to completely be myself. And I say that because I'm not sure I've ever really had the chance to do that. I will expand on what I mean by that because that may be a little bit confusing. But I think we kind of touched on this a little bit already in other episode, but having to kind of hop into or take on a role of, I got it. I'm gonna take care of everything. I'm gonna finish everything. I'm gonna get things done, and also like how I was raised, that is something that I've kind of taken on. That is not who I 100% want or would prefer to be. So when I think about like soft girl era, I'm thinking about like the ideal Tasia, who I really want to be, like that, carefree, soft, you got it, you take care of it. I don't have to worry about it. I can just focus on the other things that I really enjoy and love. So that's a kind of general idea of what it means for me. And we're going to continue to talk about that. But that's my 2 cents.
I feel like we've discussed this in a previous episode where we always have to be strong. And I think for me, dropping the word strong so dominant in my vocabulary is what is entering into that soft
Yeah.
girl, you know?
Yeah.
And not having to mask my emotions, mask my feelings, and just be really there and present with my partner. I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to be
Mm-mm.
present. Like you said, it's like kind of just like, you're
Yeah.
going, and it's just not having that. And the care, you're right, it's like it's a big factor in that. And it's not even have to be a big action. It could be just checking in. Hey, how are you? How's your day going? Like that gives me room to just kind of, that
Yeah.
big, that deep breath. Like, oh, he's there. He's also present in the situation that we are creating. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yes, so while you were talking, it made me think back on a movie. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's from the 90s and it's about like four women and Whitney Houston is
Okay.
in it, but it's called Waiting to Exhale. So
Yeah.
when you mention exhale, like the okay, that it made me think to that movie because really all of those women were like searching for that. They
Mhm.
all had different experiences and situations that they were dealing with as related to their partners or the men in their lives. And they just was waiting for that moment where they could like exhale and everything was okay and they didn't have to handle it or be strong or whatever have you. I don't want to get too deep into the movie. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it. Why not? It would give you some like context as to why I'm referencing it. But it just reminds me of yes, so many women like ourselves, especially women I think in their 30s,
Mhm.
are kind of starting to feel like this. We crave, we are desiring to not have to manage everything in our lives and be able to depend on a partner or a lover or whatever you want to label that person in your life. Think that depend I'm not sure I've ever really had the opportunity to depend on someone I was, interacting with or a partner with. I think sometimes I always was still operating with the mindset that if something happens, I still have to step up for myself. And
I
so I want to kind of get rid of that feeling, be able to depend on you, to trust you, to know that I'm okay and you will take care of me if something were to happen or if I need it, if I'm having a bad day or, just
that
life happening.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
That's
wanting to be I think that's another translation to soft girl era or the soft girl life. Sometimes it translates to just taking it easy. Taking it easy sometimes and not having to be hyper like focused on doing things.
right.
So, yeah.
That fight or flight mentality is just not healthy. And when I think soft girl like, I'm thinking it is a healthy relationship. It's healthy ongoing interactions. It's healthy open conversations, dialogue. It's transparency, and that it's not easy to have, of course, but having the
Um,
space to work through that safely is like the key, I think, And we've touched on this a little bit in the recent episode where it's like we operate from masculine energy. And in the soft girl life, I would not have to do that masculine
mhm.
energy.
Yeah.
That's completely dropped from my title, my everything. That's the life, like you said, I crave for. That's the life I'm ambitious about.
Mhm.
That is like, oh, I want that. I see that. I want that.
Mhm.
Yeah. This couple on TikTok, and she was asking him hypotheticals, and one of the questions she said, if someone was to run up on me, what would you do? And real quick, he was like, I'm not gonna leave you in a vulnerable for someone to even be able to get that close to you or even run up to you. So that, again, that be able to drop and just he's there for me.
I think you are kind of referencing something like a underlying theme, safety.
Oh,
And I feel like so many of us women often don't feel or have like that safe place to, unapologetically be ourselves and
Mhm.
express our thoughts, feelings, emotions, whatever. So I 100% agree with that, and I love that. I think that's a beautiful thing. I definitely want that for myself. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
It made me think like, okay, most of the time going back to the masculine feminine energy piece, because I think it would be important to mention, oftentimes, especially in our careers, we have to demonstrate or kind of like mask and show up in a very dominant masculine way. Um, Especially if you're in a leadership position.
Cool.
So you don't want people to look down on you or underestimate you or just question why you're there. So you find yourself constantly having to prove yourself and, make sure people know and understand like your value, your worth in the workplace as a woman, as a deaf person, as a Black woman for me, So I carry that. And sometimes you forget to like drop it off and leave it there,
And leave it at the
um
door, you know?
leave it at the door, leave it there, and not bring it home. And so how do we kind of flourish in the feminine energy? How do we exercise that when our lives continually perpetuate
Mhm.
a different thing? It continually pulls out and requires us sometimes to be more masculine, to get things done, to be action oriented, to, run things or be a boss.
Mm.
How do we like switch and say, okay, I'm done there. I don't have to do that anymore. Now that I'm home or I'm in my personal life, I can like now focus on being restful and feminine and things like that. How do we make that change?
I mean, I feel like I would have to ask. I think it just depends on the person you're with. Like, for example, when you're in the beginning stages of dating or whatever, and
Mhm.
maybe ask them
It's
something,
real cute.
right?
Yeah, it's real cute in the beginning.
You don't see the red flags yet, or you don't
Oh.
like, see like all the green flags yet, but you're like she's scouting them. You're like looking for them, you know.
Mhm.
So, well, like I'm trying to think of a good question, but I would ask like something like, "Oh, hey, do you mind picking up? I don't know, my favorite tea on the way home. I had a really hard day. Do you mind doing that?" And it's like, how does he respond to that? Something so small, it probably
Mm.
maybe $3. How does he respond to that? And from that point, I'll know what kind of questions I can ask, what kind of interactions we're gonna have for the big thing. Because if you can't handle the small thing, you're not gonna be able to handle the big thing. I mean, that's just my thoughts on that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I think for me, I am an observer.
Mhm.
I observe. I would label myself introverted. And so I'm heavy on observation and I just pay attention to the little things. So when I'm in a dating situation, I do try my best to just like pay attention to how someone responds to me. So, like, for example, I may have a rough day.
Mhm.
Suppose I have a rough day at work and I share that with the person that I'm interacting with or I'm dating. I'm curious and I pay attention to how they respond to that. It's not that they have to respond a certain way. No, everyone is going to be different. But does their response show care? Does their response provide me with the space to freely, vent or talk about my experience, or do I feel like a weird energy where I have to like close up again? Do they make me feel comfortable? Are they supportive? Are they just willing to listen? I
Right.
just pay attention for those things because, like you said, if you're going to miss it in the small things, you're going to miss it in the big things. So, I'm not necessarily, I don't think it's a testing thing. No, it's just the observation because I think that's important when you're dating. You have to pay attention and like take note,
Right.
honestly, of like people's mannerisms and their behavior. So if we're just having regular everyday life happening and we're getting to know each other through dating, then I'm going to be paying attention to like patterns and things that you do, how you respond, how you make me feel too.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we as women do kind of ignore that a little bit
Mhm.
if we like someone. So at first, you like someone, it feels good. You have those little like butterflies in your stomach and you're really
That,
loving it. And
yeah.
it's a beautiful feeling, right? And then over time that may start to, fade a little bit
Like,
because life is happening and you're getting to know each other. So as you notice that kind of fading, then how's that person really make you feel? Do you feel anxious around them?
do you feel safe to communicate things? That is what we really need to watch. And sometimes, like,
That.
we just like completely. And you've touched on this in a previous episode where it's like, okay, I'm always gonna have to be strong. So it's easy to kind of like ignore. I'm not saying ignore, but overlook that. So if that person doesn't respond or is not attentive, and you're like, okay, well, I guess he's not gonna pay attention in this. I'm gonna toss it to the side and just keep going. That
Or
could
just be willing to step in, you
right,
know?
or
Just be willing to step in and like take off some of the load. I should not have to ask. I think that's
that
a big
should
one for me. Shouldn't have to ask. So if I'm dating someone, I'm talking with them and I'm operating in my dominant masculine energy because that's where I've been operating. When
right,
you come into the picture, your masculine energy should overpower mine. It should override mine. And that's
over
where I can become feminine, right? Like yours has to dominate. It has to like override mine. If
yeah,
it doesn't, then both of us can't be
operating from the same.
masculine. No, one of us is probably heavier in their feminine, and one of us is heavier in their masculine. So, like for example, if I don't know, come up with a situation, if I mention like, hey, I just recently, I'm recently learned like my car is messed up. I'm struggling with that, trying to figure out that situation. If you and hopefully you do, because I'm looking for that when I'm dating someone that would be like, hey, is there anything I can do? Or instead of just asking me, just do it.
Right.
Just
Or,
show up for me in that way.
oh, and I'm gonna take you to college.
Offer me a ride.
Right, right,
Hey, I know a mechanic. I can refer you. Oh, have you tried this? Or, just there's so many different ways you can show up for someone. I'm not here to tell you how to show up and
right, right,
support
right.
someone. That's not my role. I don't tell men what to do. I want to clarify that.
Oh, right.
But I'm just saying, like, there are many ways you can show up in that situation. Instead of just, oh, I hope that works out for you, but expecting you to just like figure it out,
Right.
because I'm still operating in that like masculine
Masculine energy.
energy. So I'm looking for someone that's gonna like step in and take over so I don't have to continue to operate in that way. So I can see, oh, he's gonna step in, he's gonna help me, he's gonna support me, he's gonna take over, and then I can rest
Right?
and I can be a soft girly because that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I
Um,
want.
even like, the simple like, let me go to the shop with you to make sure I
Yes.
rip you off. That because that does happen
Yes.
for women. So let me go with you. Let me
Right.
let me do what I can do. Don't worry about it.
Let me do it.
Let me take
Yes.
it off your plate. That
Let me take it off your plate.
that
Let me lighten this burden.
that.
Let me. I got it.
Don't worry about it, babe.
Don't
Whoa!
worry about it. I I see you.
I
I want to
got
be seen.
I
I
got
want to
you.
be seen. That's what
That
I want. I think that's really like when we get to it, that's what I want. I want someone who sees me, you
mm,
know, who sees what I need, who I am, and I know how to me.
right?
Yeah.
Match right.
Yeah,
Like
like a like a puzzle. Like we
uh,
just like where I'm weak, you're strong. Where you're weak, I'm strong. And we complement each other. That's what I want. And I think it's a beautiful, like, marriage, yang and yang kind of thing. Like, so when you're stepping up, I can step back.
yeah,
And then vice versa, because there may be some times where you're gonna be weak and I can you know.
yeah,
But for the most part, like the majority, I want to be able to be a soft girly. That's what I
yeah,
want.
yeah. I want you to come to my job with my little like coffee drink and everything, whatever.
Show me some flowers.
I
Yeah.
what was it? It was a thread, and this girl was like, I was just dating this guy, and she's like, I was telling her, work had been a little difficult, and I was so upset because I forgot my AirPods, and they helped me
Mm,
stay focused at work. And she said, I kid you not, he sent AirPods that day to my job without me asking.
action.
But I left
Action.
my
And
home.
that's what I mean. Action.
What? She said, I left my
I
home
need to see
to
it.
make my day easier. That I need to be seen. That.
Yes, yes. And I want someone who's gonna listen. When I mention something one time, you got it.
She's
You
got
got it. You caught it. You heard me. You was paying attention. Someone who's gonna be paying attention and someone who doesn't feel or respond or act or behave like it's a burden.
it. Ooh.
You know? Someone who wants to.
One,
Nothing makes them more happier than to make sure and to see me happy. That's
that,
what I need. You know?
girl's having a hard day, you're gonna remove that off her plate. The girl's crying or she got a period, you're bringing her a care package. No, I love that. Yes, do that.
We love that.
That's
We love that.
the same energy. I'm not saying like it's gonna
Of
go
course.
both of us. It's a
Of
teamwork
course.
kind of thing,
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right. It's just that we're focused on the soft girl
but
portion. So we're highlighting a lot of our perspective, what that looks like for us and what we envision that as. But of course, there's always going to be reciproc. I hope I voiced this right. Reciprocity, where it's a give and exchange. What that looks like is not the same. So what I believe as a woman I can contribute and how I can show up for you looks different than how I would expect and want and need you to show up for me. So we're just talking about what I would like, what Tori would like to see so that we can show up and give you our best selves as women in a relationship or in a dating exchange or whatever.
but
So that is just it looks different for everyone.
yes,
It does.
and I
There's no one size fits all.
no, and I think the key thing we really hit on all of this is really simple: being attentive. I mean, that's it. That's really the key right there. One, of
Mhm.
course, but just being attentive and
Yeah.
supportive. Yeah, like, "Baby, I got you." Like, I wanna hear that. Like, I wanna hear that. "I got you." That's
I want to
sexy,
feel that. I want to
sexy.
feel that. I never want to have to question it. I
Mhm.
never want to have to doubt or
Go
worry
away.
or, be unsure. I always want to be sure about it.
Yeah,
And I'll be honest, I've dated and I've had relationships, and this is not to like bash anyone, but I've never had the opportunity to be a soft girl. I've never had that opportunity to really know, like, he
uh,
has it and I don't have to worry about it. I've always had to feel like and kind of step up in that role. So I am patiently but readily looking forward to being with a partner where I
yeah,
don't have to anymore.
right.
And that's why I think so many women are ready and they're wanting that soft girl era, because most, if not all of us, we haven't really had that chance yet. And we deserve, girl. We
Yeah,
deserve. We
and
deserve.
I don't think I mean, like you, I don't think I've had the opportunity or the chance
Hmm.
or even taste of what a soft girl, like, would feel like, be like. And again, like Tage, I'm not bashing anyone yet, anyone
Right.
for that. I just
I mean, but it's true. It's
I
our authentic experience.
can't I
Yeah.
just can't my match, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep. Yep.
That I want that. I crave that. I'm you know
Where they at? Where they at? That's what we wanna know, where they at.
Yeah.
And they're out there. They're
How
out there. They're 100% out there. I know that it exists.
uh,
Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
uh,
So I wanna also, like, emphasize that. We know, understand, recognize that there are plenty of people out there who
like,
can and are ready to offer that.
mhm.
And for them, I say thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. But I'm just saying, from our personal experience, we haven't had the chance to experience that yet. And we want that.
Yeah,
So, I think it's good to like put things out there and just let people know, like, okay, this has been my experience so far. I think that's wonderful.
yeah, I agree. I'm hopeful for it. I am ready for it. I'm leaning to like wanting that world. Like, come on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Me
mm,
too. Me too, though. I'm trying to think like I've seen different people post and girls on social media talk about like the soft girl life and them entering into their soft girl era, right?
mhm,
And oftentimes it looks like things, like material things. Do
mhm,
you feel like that applies to you when you envision your soft girl era?
mm. I don't think it's like material thing because like I don't care much for bags, cars,
Mm,
things like that.
it's a nice to have, but
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
But I think the caring and the attentive thing is so important to me because I didn't ever had someone that just cared. And like, hey, what can I do for you? That to me is value. It's worth more. I want
Wow.
that. Yeah, right.
Wow. Like what you said really kind of hit home and it kind of touched me, but like in a sad way, because you said, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said, I've never had anyone care.
Yeah, I mean,
That is heartbreaking. Like, because I mean, not to like throw you under the bus, but I mean, you dated and you have relationships, and you're telling me that you feel like none of them cared. That says a lot.
like
It says a lot.
same. energy, not the same frequency. Not
Not
no.
in the same way you needed them to, and
Right,
not in the same way you did.
right. And not
Yeah,
carrying weight I needed them to just
right, Nick.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, but that was it. You were there, but you weren't present. You know, and I'm not bashing them. Obviously, this is my younger like age, but
Mhm.
still care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those things you can't teach. Either you care or you don't, you
Right.
know? It's
Simple.
just it's one or the other. There's no middle.
Yeah. So I feel like this could be like an ongoing conversation of what soft girl life looks like, and you could continue that conversation if our audience is interested in hearing about it. You know?
For sure, absolutely. We appreciate you just kind of like listening in. And until next time,
Yeah.
we're going to wrap it up and say bye. Make
Bye.
sure you look out for our social media. Follow, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff too. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Until then, take care, y'all.